Hi friends, strangers, internet. My name is Emily. I love colorful makeup and colorful language. And today I wanted to talk about 5 makeup products or techniques that have really helped me tap into my artist. So if you are new here, first of all, welcome in. I'm so glad you found me. Leave me a comment, say hi, hello. And if you are not new, welcome back. If you like colorful makeup, bitches with lots of opinions, or cute fat babes, I hope you will subscribe. And let's just jump into some makeup geek out mode, okay? So here's the thing. I have been an artist of sorts throughout my entire life. I loved throughout elementary, middle, and high school. I loved art classes. I always took them. I was always like kind of doing stuff at home. I studied clothing and textile design, but the program was, more vast in terms of business and science and all of this. But I've always been a creative person, but I feel like life and work has led me away from being an artist. And I feel like in the last 6 months or so, when I started shaving off my brows, I really tapped back into like this joy that making art gives me. And I mean, if you've been around before, I've never been that traditional of a makeup person. I have enjoyed color and texture and sparkle and, things for a long time, but I feel like I've like really just like dove right into the deep end of the pool in the more recent months. And I realize it's because makeup and the time that I take putting makeup on my face taps into that part of my brain. And that might be very obvious for some people, and it might not be obvious for others. Some people, if you're watching, you might not find a lot of, creative joy from makeup. It might just be kind of a thing that you put on because, it helps you go through the world a little more smoothly. But I've been like, I've been in it, and I've always loved color theory, and color theory is a thing for me with makeup. And so anyway, I kind of want to talk more about this and find ways to like bring in this kind of video or this kind of stuff into my videos more. So I pulled out some products that really just make me feel all of the good things. The first thing, because I think it's the most recent thing that I've picked up and has really re-inspired me, are fucking color correctors. I picked up light mint, light yellow, and light green color correctors from LA Girl. And I am like as I touched on in the beginning of the video, I love color theory. I love talking about it. I love thinking about it. I love putting it in action. And it was like such a duh moment for me once I got them. But I wouldn't have thought about it. I don't know, like color correctors had a moment before. But I've been having this issue where like most of the concealers that I've picked up in the last, I would say 6 to 8 months have just not been the right match for me. And the thing that blew my fucking mind is this color that's called mint, that's really just light blue. This is the perfect fix for concealers that I have that are too dark and too peachy, which is a common thing for me. And like, if I had taken a moment to really think about it, my art brain could have gotten me here. But it was like, I was talking with a friend, and because they use like green color corrector basically all the time. And I know Hannah Lee's Poston has been talking about it quite a bit on her channel, but I didn't even watch her video originally on green color correctors until like a month or two later. But anyway, like The mint is the perfect one for so many of my concealers. The light yellow is perfect for mixing with my favorite concealer, which is the Dior Forever Skin Correct, it's the right tone, but it's just a little too dark. And this lightens it up without making it too white or too pink or something. And then the actual green one, I have not used as much, but it's nice for so I tend to get redness here. And if I remember, that's a good thing to use to correct it rather than just trying to cover. And this has had its place, and I will continue to be using it. But there's just something really satisfying about mixing, whether it's on my face or on the back of my hand, and making these things work for me. Making makeup that I already love work for me that brings me a lot of joy. So correctors, I would say they're not overrated. They're very useful. And I don't know, if anything I talk about in this video y'all would like to hear more about, definitely leave me a comment and I can try to make that happen. I was thinking this was going to be more technique based, but I realized I do also I'm talking about products. So, take everything with a grain of salt. Don't feel like if you want to get to tap into your inner artist, that you need stuff, but it's how I think about things. So, okay, this is a good example. So, months ago, I was talking with Audra, as I do all the damn time, and they used a reference. They were like, oh, I realized as how I'm applying eyeshadow is kind of pointillism. And I was like, oh, I get that reference completely, and I totally know what you mean. And it made me start thinking about how I apply and blend out eyeshadow. And it made me realize that one of my favorite tools in art classes were chalk pastels, which are just messy as hell, but they're very smudgy and blendable. It's very easy to get gradients of color to blend things together. And that made me think about how I apply shimmer eyeshadows. Now, I recently rearranged my eyeshadows, so you're getting to see a little, but I don't know, I'm just showing you. But I will a lot of times use my fingers and apply multiple shimmers, and I'm really just blending. I'm applying, but then I'm blending and smudging and blowing them out. And there is something about that technique, whether I'm doing it with my fingers or with brushes, that way of smushing different colors together to create shadows and depths and gradient, and it gave me this visceral reminder of working with chalk pastels and the joy that brought me. And so I think about that a lot when I'm applying, especially shimmers. But I also think about it when I'm applying my mattes and really blending them together, and how I'm a very blendy person. And so I don't know, it just made me think of chalk pastels and my love for them. And I think it's really interesting if you were an artist at any time, or you still are, thinking about the ways that things you've done in other mediums you might be applying to your makeup, and you might not have realized it, or you might have totally realized it. Leave me a comment if you have any insight on that on your end, because I'd love to hear from y'all. But actually, speaking of blending, I also, and I've talked about this before, but I find that the Blend Bunny palette makes me feel like a bit of an artiste, because not that I really worked with a lot of paints and paint palettes, but something about the way that I can just have it open, bend back the back, just sit it here and be able to just dip and play. It does feel like a palette in an artist way. And again, as I was talking about with my shimmers and the chalk pastel reference, these blend together very nicely. They can you can mix too. You can even today, I tapped into the white and then into the pastel purple to get like a slightly lighter pastel purple. You can like dip your brush in between multiple colors and mix that way, or you can blend it on your eye. And I just think that like there are certain, I think everyone might have a different palette that feels this way for them. But for me, it's this one. And I think because it is all matte and it's because it's a formula I really love and it really works for me. It like, I want to just like have it open and play, and it just feels good. It just makes me feel happy. It really does. And like, speaking of this whole journey that I've been on since I started regularly shaving off my eyebrows, I could not talk about water activated liners in this video. So I did do watercolor. In terms of painting, watercolor was the main one. I think it was probably because it was the cheapest thing in my school, like for painting. I did some acrylic painting, but I never really got into oil painting. But watercolor was like a thing for me, for damn sure. So it's not lost on me that this like water activated format is something that brings me joy. Now it totally takes like some learning curve to it. It takes some time and some experimentation, and I'm not going to say that every time I pick up one of these palettes that like I nail it, because I don't. Sometimes I make the color too thin, or sometimes I don't add enough water, or sometimes I just don't like where I apply it on my face or the shape that I make. But there is something really nice about having just another, like having this feels low stakes. Not that like, you know, like if you're putting it on top of eyeshadow, that's obviously a thing. But if you're putting this directly on your skin and you don't necessarily love how it turns out, you can just grab a little water on a Q-tip or on like a little cloth, you know, a cotton square or something, and just take it off and try again. You can, you know, you can mix colors, you can try different formats. Like I made these clouds with white water activated liner. You can just do straight liner, you can draw. Like I think it reminded me that my whole face is a canvas. And that's really the era that I'm in now, is that my whole face is a canvas. And it just, you know, it just brings me some level of joy. And of course, as I was saying, the direct comparison of like watercolors to these, it does make sense. And it reminds me of art supplies in like a very visual way. And that also brings me so much joy. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, this is all kind of like runners up, but I feel like they count. So I was actually going to just talk about one, but I'm going to quickly cover both. So I wanted to quickly say, this is not, you know, you don't have to own these, but I feel like the visual of the Katie Jane Hughes and Spectrum brush set, which Katie Jane Hughes has said was directly inspired by art brushes, totally like just tickles a part of my brain that I love. But also go to your art supply stores, go to your craft stores. One of my favorite wing liner brushes, hold please, is a Royal and Langnickel brush that I got from Michaels. So like I do love that like cross industry, cross medium thing. Like Moda Brushes is made by Royal and Langnickel. Royal and Langnickel makes makeup brushes and art brushes. And so I love that, like, you know, look at your art supply brushes for liner brushes. Look at your nail supply brushes for liner brushes. All of that stuff. And the other kind of runner-up, I haven't fallen directly in love with them, but I will say gems and glitter is another way, like, that feels, that was not open. It feels like doing like collages and like layered art, like when you're mixing medium and you're going in with stuff that has, you know, direct dimension or are more flat but different shapes or colors, there is something really lovely and like satisfying to that. As I said, I don't often have the actual patience now that I have all these gems. I don't always have the patience to go in and apply them, but sometimes they just add like the perfect finishing touch. Like I used these little iridescent star glitters, but I applied them in specific spots in my eyes and my face. And I feel like that's such a lovely little way of like adding just a touch more, just a little something else. And having one of these wax applying tools where you can grab one and then like put it on your face has also been very nice. It's been a game changer. But I just love the idea of like mixed medium, and I think that's really a fun thing with makeup is that, you know, you might put down mattes and then you might put down shimmers and then you might go in with liner and you might add some gems or a touch of glitter, or, you know, you do a matte lip but then you add a little gloss in the center of your mouth, or all of these different ways that we are layering and playing with different textures and formulas and finishes, like makes my little brain go buzz, 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 in all the good ways. So I think that was it. I really love the way my creative soul has been very like nourished by makeup in the last, I mean, it's been a couple years now, but I feel like I said, the last year, 6 months to a year, it's been like even more. And it's why I still talk about makeup, even though I know like it's not super popular right now, but it's okay. I really enjoy it, and I don't want to diminish anybody that is here watching the video. So if you've been hanging out with me, definitely leave me a comment. Thank you so much. Actually, just thank you so much. But leave me a comment if you have any thoughts or things you would like to talk about that were inspired by this video. Thank you to my patrons, my channel members, and thank you for everybody for being here. And hopefully I will see you again soon. But most importantly, don't forget to take care of yourself better today than you did yesterday, because you are worth it. Bye, friends. Sometimes you just gotta make a video that just makes you go, ooh, ooh. Oh God, I did that. Oh God.